Hi, this is video number 198. Just got home from the convention about an hour ago. Stopped and had some good ice cream on the way home. I had what's called a jigger. It's a scoop of vanilla ice cream with some kind of cherry syrup and some fudge syrup and some secret ingredient that makes it really good. Never had one of those before. It was great. So that was fun. Got home here, it's raining and windy. It's kind of like raw outside. Feels more like the end of February, beginning of March than the end of April, but it is what it is. Spring is here. It'll eventually get warm for good for a while here. Got a lot of emails since the last time I did all emails on a video here. I got 9 emails altogether. I probably am not going to get to talk about all of them, but there's always tomorrow because I'll be back tomorrow. Okay, the first email says, "Hi Don, I think I am 10 weeks into this tsunami wave and almost 16 months off the meds." Okay, 16 months. "It has been horrible. My symptoms just keep getting worse and I am so worried that this is not normal. I have had to stay with my folks for this wave and I miss being in home and functioning. My head symptoms are so unclear. I can't think. I didn't have this before. Do you think it will clear up again? I hope I survive. I keep begging God for direction or a miracle or anything. Thanks for listening." Okay. 16 months off, 10 weeks into a wave. I know. I mean, you're not the only one. I read this all the time. I get messages like this. Symptoms getting worse. Like in waves, it's pretty common for symptoms to get worse. And it's not, everything is normal in withdrawal. There's nothing actually normal about withdrawal, but everything in withdrawal, nothing is off base. There's all kinds of strange things that happen. This is not unusual, believe me. Okay, let me see. I didn't have this before. Okay, so it's something new, and that's not unusual either to get new kinds of symptoms or symptoms return that had gone maybe months ago. I'm seeing this more and more here lately. I don't know if there's something going on this earth or what, but where people are getting things that are more intense than they have been in a long time, and they're more than a year off, or they're getting new things that they didn't have before. I think there is a reason for that, like a physiological reason for it, but as yet I don't know exactly. I have a really good idea in theory what's going on, but this is not uncommon. You will survive. You're going to survive. Begging God for direction. I know I did that through a lot of my withdrawal. I even begged for a miracle in the first few months. I've talked about that. The miracle didn't come. The healing miracle didn't come, so I quit. Actually, I got worse. The more I prayed that, the more I got worse. The worse I got. So I quit praying for a miracle, and I prayed another kind of prayer, just like a prayer of like surrender and then that. So yeah, you're going to survive. You're going to get well. It's just, and this is not unusual. It really is not unusual. Okay, the next email. "Hi Don, thank you for your continued work with your videos and providing hope for all the unfortunate individuals who have been so negatively affected by these drugs and the people supporting them." Okay, my wife has asked me to write again. His wife is the one that's in withdrawal. "To get your impression on what is happening based on some of the tests she has had done. First, she's been having tremors, overbreathing, anxiety, irritability, overwhelmed, lots of fear, and so on since she got put on these drugs. She's on Ativan and clonazepam and Effexor. She was on Effexor too. These symptoms continue to plague her even when things ease off a little bit. She doesn't get 100% window, just periods of time where symptoms are less severe. She wants to know if this is going to heal for her. Second, she did a methylation test which determined that the homocysteine levels were high. It has been recommended by the naturopath to increase vitamin B12, B6, zinc, lecithin, choline, and folate. Is this something that you are aware of that will foster healing, or is this something that will heal on its own as the withdrawal progresses? Also, are you aware of individuals who healed using supplements? She was taking supplements until she had read discussions in BenzoBuddies and other places that argued on whether or not supplements are advised. She has been wondering about this, and she has read success stories of people who use supplements in their withdrawal. She has basically stopped reading posts on BenzoBuddies because of some negativity. Also, some posts that triggered symptoms, conflicting posts on diet, supplementation, exercise, and so forth. Also, there doesn't seem to be enough posts offering reassurance and hope for getting through withdrawal. The only reason for being on is personal messages, a couple of BenzoBuddies. We would appreciate your continued support. Okay. Blessings to you. All right, a lot of stuff here. Okay, BenzoBuddies. I've talked about this before. BenzoBuddies is great for validation. I found the forum before I got on BenzoBuddies, benzowithdrawal.com. It was great for validation. I remember the morning I stumbled onto it and I thought, wow, these people are talking my language. They have the same kinds of symptoms I have. They're obviously in agony and anguish, mental anguish. And so it was good for that. But as time went on and you get on what was the main board then and so forth, and also on BenzoBuddies, you get like these questions about supplements, about exercise, about different kinds of things. Or one in particular, there was one person, I was taking fish oil at the time, and one person saying it's like one of the very worst things you can take, and another one was saying like, no, this is what you need to get well. And so where does it put a person then who's in withdrawal? Like, what do I do? Like one side says yes, one side says no. What do you do? So I kind of came out on that, like what I have read in a lot of the forums and from people who have been going through this. Supplements, sometimes they can do you more harm than good. Do they do you any good? I don't. It's kind of a shot in the dark. I'm thinking when you're in withdrawal, your nervous system, it is connected to all of the other organ systems in your body, so it affects everything. And so your body is not working properly because of that. Like various organ systems they're not working the way they normally would if they were not in withdrawal, if you were not in withdrawal. So to me, supplements, you're probably better off not taking them unless you've been taking them for quite some time. I don't know that your sensitivity would be such that coming off of them would cause a problem or not. For a lot of people, any little change in something that you've been doing can make a big change. As far as the methylation, okay, methylation is important, but in withdrawal, I don't know. I kind of take the approach, keeping everything stable in withdrawal. Whatever you're doing, don't change it, or change it very, very minimally until the benzo withdrawal is coming to a close and you're starting to feel well. I've had a lot of people ask about the B vitamins and some of the metals, the zinc, the folate, which is I think that's like an artificial B vitamin. It's like you take it, but there are a number of steps that actually get you to the real vitamin B12, I think that's how it was in video number 168. I think I talked about methylation, homocysteine, the B vitamins, and that was mostly America's Pharmacist, Susie Cohen. I had gotten a lot of questions about these very same things, and she kind of answered them for me, and I read her answers. It might be a good idea if you're concerned about methylation and the B vitamins to go to her website, SuzieCohen.com. It's SUZYCOHEN.com. She's written a lot of articles on methylation and homocysteine and that. She's written books. She's a very intelligent person. She knows what she's talking about. So generally, as a rule, I kind of probably supplements. You really don't know one way or the other. So keeping things as stable as possible and as unchanging as possible probably is the best way to go. See, that's the thing. You don't know. That's the way it was for me and for many people. You don't know exactly what to do. If you knew what to do, you would do it. But there's a lot of question marks in all of this. So for me, like supplements, just keep things the same. Don't go on anymore. And if you're on something, if you can, I mean, you don't know if it's doing you any good or not. So it's a hard, I don't know that supplements help all that much in withdrawal. I've never heard of anybody taking a supplement that magically made them better. I've never heard of that. Some people take different kinds of things that seems to help them improve symptom-wise. I know, like for sleep, a lot of people will take number of different kinds of things that seems to help people on a person-specific level. Some people might take something that helps them. Some people might take the same thing and it does the opposite to them. Much like the medications themselves, the drugs. You see, what else here? Okay, I think I covered like pretty much everything. Let me make sure here. Okay, the 100% windows. Not very many people get 100% windows anyway. Some do, or they feel basically normal for a while and then they get hit with a wave again. So a window typically for most people is where you still have symptoms, but they're not as bad. Okay, one more thing. She did ask the big question. Wants to know if this is going to heal for her or not. Okay, it is. You do get through it. It has to do it by right now. From what we know, I think there are people who know a lot more, but don't reveal it. What we know right now, time heals, and it will heal you. A lot of people, well, I'll talk about this in another email. There was another email dealing with something else, but time is the healer right now. And there's no reason to believe that your body is attempting to get well. It has to do a number of things. I think it has to rewire around the injury that it has sustained because of the drugs. But it does do it. Eventually does it. Some people, it does it fairly quickly, and some people it takes a very long time. I don't know if it's a matter of the brain trial and error or what. I'm not exactly sure, but because of the neuroplasticity of the brain, it can work around like injury and still do what it needs to do to function. Okay, that was the second email. Let me see how much time I have here. Okay, I'm at 12 minutes about. The next one. Hi Dawn, I wonder if you might discuss exhaustion from benzo withdrawal. This is such a disabling symptom and often feels like it must be caused by something else. I literally need to lie down somewhere throughout the day, although I am able to walk 3 miles every day. Is it related to depression? Okay. Exhaustion, fatigue, very, very common. It's funny because depression, a lot of times when you go to a psychiatrist and with like some sort of emotional mood kind of thing, they will ask you a bunch of questions. And if you answer yes to like 5 or 6 of, it's like a dozen questions, they consider you clinically depressed. And one has to do with your energy level. That's one they use. And I think they use it to determine if you have depression or not. So I don't know that that's particularly relevant. I look at all these symptoms as just symptoms. And to call them anything is you're kind of like making a syndrome out of them. Then you group them all together and say, well, you have this and or this or this or this. I don't know that that's particularly important. But the fatigue, the exhaustion, very, very common. I had it. But interestingly, when you're in withdrawal, you want to sit around, you want to lie around. And I did that to a great degree if I could, but, you know, this person's saying they walk 3 miles a day. I couldn't. It was very hard for me to be still and lie down or sit still for very long. I couldn't do it. It's like you have to keep moving. Your brain's constantly working. A lot of restlessness, anxiety. It's common though. It's very common. And it's depressing to feel so exhausted. It really is. I remember it quite well. And it wasn't just being tired. It was an inner exhaustion. It was just fatigue, like no energy at all. Not like being tired necessarily, but like just being exhausted. I can't do this. I remember Fridays I would do the vacuuming here. And vacuuming is not, I mean, it's not the simplest thing, but it's not that hard. I mean, I've done a lot of physical stuff. It's a lot harder than that. And I would just be exhausted vacuuming. And I would be done. I would have to sit down for a while. And It's only vacuuming. So yeah, fatigue is very common in withdrawal. And it does go, it'll go away. It will go away. Okay, the next email. Dawn, I am really struggling. My pain is off the charts and I am having a very hard time finding hope. I am scaring my family. I have to find more psychological help, but I don't think it would be productive to talk to someone who doesn't have experience with this withdrawal nightmare. What would you recommend? I have to find a way to get through this. What I am doing is not working. I am in trouble. Thank you. Okay, let me see who this. Okay, let me see. Okay, I think this particular person is one who has had a lot of. Maybe it's not. I'm not sure. Has a lot of pain. Okay, this is someone else. Okay, I know who this is. Yeah, 12 months. She had some good. In the first 12 months, she had some times where she was like feeling pretty good, like doing some work and so forth. Like she's close to 12 months now, and she's getting. No, I'm looking at the second one. Well, I'll do this one first. Well, okay, I'll go back to this one, and I got two of them mixed up here. Okay, I'm really struggling. Okay, the family is. I think I talked one time on a conference call to this family. It's just. I think this is the person who has a lot of physical pain. And the only way is like time. It's distraction, just getting through time, surviving. That's and I've said that many times because that's what I was told too. You just survive. You get through time. You distract. Do anything that will get you through a day so that you can face the next day. I think this particular individual does have a lot of neck and head pain, chest pain, I think. There are certain things, like certain ganglion blocks, that they use for pain, but I don't know that up to this point, no one has actually, like the ganglion block that I have talked about, no one has actually done it. So I just have a thought that it could possibly work. And as I spoke about in, I think, yesterday's video, I know someone who actually is a doctor who would know about this. He's an outside the box thinker. Maybe at some point here soon I'm going to go to him. I've been really busy lately with the thing I was at, the convention and so forth, and I hope to contact him soon. But you just get through time. That's right now, the time is the healer. We have to rely on the brain to reroute itself, to rewire itself. That's just how this goes. And I know it would be good to have someone around who understands, that you can talk to, who's been through it. Yeah, it's that would be a big plus. I know that would be a big plus. Okay, the next email. Hi Dawn, I'm approaching 12 months free of Ativan, and I truly believe that 1 year mark I would be significantly better, as many people suggest, on Benzo Buddies. But instead, I am getting progressively worse. I am at 1 to 5 months. I was bad, but had slow improvements moving forward. 6 to 8 months were my best. My energy and strength levels improved to the point that I started socializing and even running on my treadmill. At about Christmas, the 8-month mark, fatigue started increasing again, as did weakness. Over the next 4 months, these two symptoms have gotten progressively worse to the point I struggle to make it up my stairs without feeling I'm going to pass out. I'm extremely fatigued and spend most of my time on the couch. I've woken this morning after a scary experience last night, feeling inacute with fear, depression, sadness, and an inability to function at all. I know stress can set us back, but I was sitting stagnant for 4 months prior to this. It scares me that I was better at 6 months than at 1 year. I feel like I'm going to continually get worse and never fully recover. Even when the mental stuff dissipates, the fatigue leaves me unable to live. I'm truly scared I will never be well and happy. Okay, yeah, this one, let me see something here a minute. Okay. This one, I hear that a lot from people, that they were good up to a certain point and they seem to be getting better and better, and then they get hit with something else. A lot of times it's completely different symptoms. I've known people who has certain symptoms up to like 4, 5, 6 months, and then they get hit with other stuff. A lot of times in the first number of months, it could be physical stuff that seems to, it's uncomfortable, it seems to start to dissipate, and then they get hit with like the depression and the fear and so forth. It's really, really common. I know it's frustrating. That's incredibly frustrating, and it's scary because you think you're actually getting worse. But I think it's just your brain. It's trying to rewire. It has to try lots of different things, I think. I think it's like a trial and error thing. Some things it tries work and you might feel better, and some things it tries, it was the wrong thing to try, and it might ramp up symptoms or give you new symptoms. It's no one knows exactly what's going on in withdrawal. It starts with the GABAergic system, that's for certain, but then through the gene alteration of gene expression, it does something, and then I think it causes the brain to do something to itself. Fatigue, further out, that's very common. Fatigue can hang on a long time. A lot of the physical stuff, it seems, can hang on a really, really long time. That's just the way of this. A lot of people spend their time in bed and on the sofa. They just do. And it's not a sign that you're never going to get better. That's not what this is. And as she says here, stress, I don't know that it sets us back, but it makes symptoms a whole lot more uncomfortable, and it can really intensify them a lot. Yeah, so a lot of these emails I read, not so much that I can give you the answer to them, more for, I think it's a form of validation, a way to validate each of you, because each one of you writes often. It's almost like you feel like you're alone, that like I'm the only one that's like feeling this specific way, when in fact there are quite a few of you. And I got 9 emails here, and they're all very similar in that way. Like there's the hopelessness, I got this, I got that. I'm scared that it's never going to end. Is this a sign that I'm not going to heal? That's almost a common thread through almost every single email I get. And I was there too, honestly, I was. It was, you think like, I'm never going to be well. It's impossible. I can't think my way out of this. I can't even imagine what it would be like to feel normal and well again. So that's very common. It's the fear. It's mostly the fear of withdrawal. That's a very common symptom. I know, inability to function. I remember that really well. So I read a lot of these emails mostly for validation, and I try to relate my own experience, because I felt pretty much all of this stuff that I read about. So that one is, she's like almost a year and still messed up, like was improving, and then like other symptoms come in or symptoms intensify. Maybe some stress ramped up symptoms, very common. Let's see, where am I at here? I'm at 23.5 minutes. I'll probably, let me see. Okay, I'll do this one real quick. Do an email or do a video on adrenal fatigue, okay? Now, adrenal fatigue is, what I did was I went to Wikipedia, because to me adrenal fatigue is sort of like a chronic fatigue syndrome. It's just a syndrome. It's not really proven. Like, I mean, the adrenals are part of this for sure, but what I did was I went to Wikipedia and I'm going to read some of that here. Adrenal fatigue, or hypoadrenia, are terms used in alternative medicine to describe the unscientific belief that the adrenal glands are exhausted and unable to produce adequate quantities of hormones, primarily the glucocorticoid cortisol, due to chronic stress or infection. Okay, I want to read that part. The term adrenal fatigue, which was coined in 1998 by a chiropractor, may be applied to a collection of mostly non-specific symptoms. There is no scientific evidence supporting the concept of adrenal fatigue, and it is not recognized as a diagnosis by the medical community. Okay, there's no substantive evidence for the term adrenal fatigue. Okay, confirming the consensus among the Endocrinological Society that it's not real, it's a myth. And my take on that is it's kind of like chronic fatigue syndrome. In benzo withdrawal, it is for certain that the nervous system is affecting the endocrine system. There's no question of that. And a lot of people talk about the HPA axis. That's the and those are they're endocrine glands: hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal glands. Those three glands, they're part of the endocrine system. They're glands in the endocrine system, and I'm sure they're affected by benzo withdrawal. And do they cause? Is that what causes the fatigue and exhaustion? I really don't know. But the fatigue and exhaustion is very common in benzo withdrawal. Whether it is because the adrenals are fatigued or not, I don't know. And I don't know that it particularly matters, but I know the adrenal glands, I'm sure they are affected by benzo withdrawal, just as the pituitary is, and the hypothalamus. And there are other glands too in the body, endocrine glands, that are affected. I'm sure of that because the nervous system is it communicates with all organ systems of the body. So that's about all I can say about adrenal fatigue, because a lot of people don't even believe that it's like a medically appropriate term. But the fatigue, the exhaustion in benzo withdrawal is very, very real. It's common. And I'm sure probably the adrenals are affected, and that probably does somehow affect the fact that you have a lack of energy, you're fatigued. So that's my take on adrenal fatigue. I think it's just a matter of the endocrine system itself. The entire endocrine system is affected by benzo withdrawal because the nervous system communicates with the endocrine system. So that's my take on that. I know, fatigue, exhaustion, it's exhausting, it's tiring, it's mentally and physically tiring. And it's depressing, it's scary, it's very scary. You don't feel like doing anything, you don't have the energy, but it does go away. It will dissipate, it will fade away, and things will be good again. But I know this whole benzo withdrawal thing just stinks. I know it. It's so many symptoms, so many, like some people get really horrid physical symptoms, including the fatigue, a lot of nerve pain and joint pain, muscle pain, spasms, and then the mental stuff is all over the place too, like the anxiety, depression, panic attacks. Then there's the depersonalization, derealization. That's kind of, to me, that was more of a physical thing. I don't know, but it affects you mentally too. The fear is a huge one, the terror. It's so many different things. It's inhumane, like what these things do to you. But I think somebody's going to stumble onto an answer. But anyway, until then, time will get you through. You just survive time, get through each day. It will get you through. It really will. I've seen it over and over and over, and I got through too. And that's just the way I did it. So it's until somebody stumbles on something else, those are kind of like the marching orders. You just get through time. I wish there were a quicker way. I wish I had more wisdom for you in that area, but that's how I got through. That's how, hundreds of people have gotten through. But I think we will find another way at some point. But I'm getting close to 30 minutes here, so it's good to be back home. It was nice to be in a nice hotel suite for a couple of nights, but back home here now, and this is pretty sweet too. So anyway, I'll let you go. I keep thinking this is Sunday. I keep thinking this is the weekend, but this is actually Tuesday. You will see this tomorrow sometime, Wednesday. So take care, and as always, I'm right here, and I will be right here. Bye-bye.